Tomato, tomato.
86 Humans Ever Beat. Which is also the next Illusionist single.
My fucking cat. Jesus. Anyway. Who do you like? What happened?
I like everybody. Everybody loved everybody.
It's like, hi, how can I help you? Fuck off! That's what I feel like saying. It's like, get out of my face!
It went really well. I mean, it ended on a very high note.
Spotlight time.
Oh, get it.
Oh, yeah, Nest. Oh, look at you.
When we started the group, I was in the mode of working where I would, over the course of a 2-day weekend, I'd come back and, I made 15 beats, I made 14 beats, and so I was just mass producing.
In the past, I had given him samples to chop, like stuff from the Batman movies, or like Ain't My Concern was from stuff that I gave him. But on this record, we did that a lot more.
I love the idea of that because it's shit that I'd never think of, or maybe just stuff that I don't listen to,
And this was also the first time he and I actually worked together on a beat. I never even saw his process up until recently.
He can explain things to me, and I don't even have to really take notes. I can just kind of figure out, fairly easy. And that's just from working together for so long now. And but we seem to have the same. I feel like it, even though he's picked out some fucking weird tracks.
From there, you have Odar, and he had always been a member of the live band. He was kind of the one who got that whole thing started.
My role before was helping bring a live aspect to the Illusionists.
One thing that we got from people a lot was, I really like you guys, but your live show kicks way more ass than your records do when it comes to the vibe and the feeling and the energy and stuff. And Sam and I took that to heart, then that's what we need to put out ourselves. We need to be the batteries that run this thing.
We put out the live DVD, A Near Death Experience.
We'd already had our thoughts about it ending, the people's perception of what it was as the band. If they didn't hear it on the record, they didn't really hear it for what it was.
The abolishment of the live band was good for you guys. Bad for me because I miss playing in the band, but I think it's good for the band because it takes effort. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to keep that going.
Sam quit his job. I was able to keep my job and get 6.5 weeks off or something. And not everybody was going to be able to do that.
So when we started shifting away from the live band aspect, I really felt like it was time to step up my game.
He went from guitar player to bass player to synths and samples, and he wrote the first draft for Real MCs, which is another story.
For Real MCs, I thought I had an idea of kind of like this slow, dirty, like Beastie Boys sounding thing that we could do. Gabe just took that idea and took a couple of things from it.
It had really good parts, but the way it was laid out and arranged, it didn't have an impact. So he told me that he wanted me to take it and chop it up and do what I do.
But what came out of it was so much better, and talking with Gabe about it.
So I told him, I said, okay, but be prepared because I'm gonna do exactly that.
It wasn't offensive at all. In fact, it was really like my first lesson in sampling. So he took it, completely chopped it up, sped it up, turned it into something different, put his twist on it, and it was definitely, I think, right then to an Illusionist track.
I think he looked at what I did with it, and then maybe just kind of I don't know what he does. I don't fucking know. It's kind of like most people don't know how I do my process.
We put out a song a while back called Every Single Minute with Eb 1, that was him. And now he's got a couple tracks on this.
I take my time with each word that I choose, and I use it well because every rhyme is a tool that I use.
I made that with just a lot of excitement. I felt like how that song was going. You know, it builds up and it's got these a lot of auxiliary percussion.
It has this really chaotic, frantic percussion going on. Worked really well for that song, you know. I feel like I'm rattling around in a dryer or something, and all the words just rolled out really organically over that percussion.
But it has a cool groove throughout, and that was, I guess, my focus. And just listening through it, I could hear someone rhyming over it, and that's what I wanted.
And then later he brought Center of Attention, which is absolutely perfect for that song, for what it needed to be.
When I was a kid, that was like the sound when you turn on MTV. It was like Dr. Dre. What's Dre doing in a lot of his beats? He has great keyboard, great keys, you know, great drums. And I think his drums too are never super overly complicated. They do the job, and they're groovy. They have a good groove. Like, there's obviously a reason he's Dr. Dre. He fucking makes music he makes. But the point was, I kind of took from that inspiration and kind of just had fun.
That was like our copier moment on the record, is the, you know, fuck you, I quit, with the G-Funk synth in the background. So I thought that was awesome.
I fucking love his beats.
The fact that it became Illusionist material is awesome, because I don't always know if it's going to.
He came over here once and we sat down and I just gave him this crash course.
He basically mentored me through me starting to make beats, and so I pretty much have him to, you know, thank for everything that I've done so far.
And he just kind of like disappeared, you know, like after that day. And then he got gear and all that shit, and next thing you know, it's just like he's throwing beats at us, and it's incredible, and it's right in line with what I do.
Empathy is the poor man's cocaine. Love is just a chemical by any other name. I like the way your pheromones make me sleepy.
The fact that we got to play with DNA was a life-changing experience, and completely unbelievable.
Just the fact that that night when I handed him the ILLusionists CD, and Max went up on stage before the show and listened to the entire disc, and then came down and talked to me for an hour. I mean, we talked whenever we could, you know, and just from there, just him finally like, hey, do the remix. I mean, all that stuff, like, it just made us refocus and kind of be like, well, fuck, this is real, you know?
So we're here the same reason you are. Idea and ability. As soon as we heard this shit came up, we had to be a part of it. These guys are really doing something original, and we've been listening to them for a long time.
It's a great audience, so they were really receptive to us. And then he comes on and like totally blows everything out of the water, and then blows my mind because there's not many acts that come through Eugene that I immediately want to go and buy a record for. You know what I mean?
The seed of it all is Max and Mikey. I mean, it's like the whole thing we're involved with is from those two guys, from just that one night of meeting them. And then, I mean, if you look at it in the scope of life, it was fucking a fraction, you know, but the impact of it was musically more than anything I've ever dealt with.
I remember specifically, it was just one of those things, like, you kind of ride that high, like the next morning you're just like, wow, that happened. Amazing.
It was like rocket fuel. You just got proved worthy of something, like a pat in the back from from someone who you admire goes longer, goes farther than 1,000 compliments from 1,000 strangers.
You know, Abilities kind of mentored Gabe in his production and gave him, feedback on his work and helped him through a by the Throat remixes.
So I had talked to Mikey a couple times, and one time, you know, he was like, hey, we're gonna be in Portland, I'm gonna be selling merch for Christoph, you know, you guys should come hang out. And I think that was only the second time we seen him face to face, and fucking remembers who we are, gives us hugs, and was like, hey, these are my friends, you know, introduces us to Chris and Cody, and I just told him, like, man, I'm really kind of like freaking out about doing this, you know. It's like I just don't, like, it's kind of one of those, like, I'm not worthy, dude, you know. And I had that talk with Max too, and the first remix that I sent to him, you know, like, they fucking flipped, you know. And I remember that Max calling was just like, ah, dude, how'd you cut up my scratches? Like, I gotta, you know, I want to learn this. Like, this is crazy. I gotta learn this. And but that first track kind of, you know, spoiled me. But from there, then working with Max, you know, it was a lot of back and forth, of just like making me rethink how I make my beats, you know, from this guy that like makes incredible beats.
No, I don't want to, but if I had to, I'll make a big mistake. There's no judge or jury when you're looking adrenaline in the face. Years of refinement to make this machine, and I'm gonna use it to the best of my ability. My body as my armor will protect my brain from bruising, even though it disagrees with poisonous power, but almost lose it.
And from there, Mikey is like, yo, I want to redo all of the vocals for all of your tracks so I could fit the vibe right. And I'm just flipping, you know. And Max is like, tells me, you know, on the phone, and it's funny because I always joke saying, you know, it's like one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life, but no one will probably ever believe me that it truly happened. But, you know, Max told me, he's like, dude, you are officially a part of the ENA crew.
So, you know, when your heroes come to town and you play well for them and you form a bond, you form a connection, and you start working together, I mean, it's like, I mean, that, I think that just took the band into a higher gear, and just suddenly it was like a video game, and everyone just like leveled up. It was just like,
I always kind of think, man, if Max ever saw us talking, he'd probably be like, man, these guys are crazy. Like, you know, but I learned a lot. I wish I could have learned more from Mikey.
To share that stage was a pretty big deal. Then to like go to work and realize that it was like living this completely separate life and being groomed for this completely separate lifestyle.
The next morning, we're all sitting in the office. It's like 8 o'clock or 9 in the morning going, all right, so we're done with this shit, right? And we knew at that point that was going to be our journey. We just didn't know how we were going to get there.
something switched, and then all of a sudden you said fuck this place or something. I was like, what?
You have these bleak moments early on where it's kind of like getting up and you fucking hate yourself and you look in the mirror and you just like, fuck me.
For me it gets harder to sit and smile when every night of my life is the last scene from 8 Mile.
One day I mentioned that it seems like every day is a combination of the opening of Groundhog's Day and the end of 8 Mile. And so it just kind of hit like, wow, you know, that's the story.
I mean, he was fucking right.
If you're part of the sinking ship, no, man. I was one of the rats on the Titanic that got off first. Before the Irish got off. I was off. I escaped that boat. You know what I mean?
To some, like, might hear like what I say, like, and be like, you know, well, you know, those are things that I want, and that's great. Go get them, because I didn't want them, and I didn't like the way that those things were forced upon me, or how, you know, that job just genuinely made us feel at the end of the day, like, in it.
Like, when I was there, I really wanted to be making music, and then as soon as I got home, all I wanted to do was watch TV and go to sleep. I just hated it so much, you know, I just wanted to go to sleep and die.
I like to take about a 90-minute lunch break, maybe 2 hours, if I got stuff to do. I go make posters for the shows, or fucking work on demos of the songs, or in this case, I'm working on cutting this little video, but, you know, a one-take lunch break, that's no fucking joke. I mean, if they're gonna take advantage of us and run us through the ringer every fucking day, then, you know, we're gonna take liberties too.
The first Illusionist show I went to before I was actually a part of the band, the first thing that I hear as soon as I walk in is like, this goes out to all my guys that, you know, and this song's called P.S. You're Fired.
You'll never be enough, you'll
feel like that was what was inside of all of us while we were there, and I think that captured it in a bottle, sort of.
There's two people. You have people inside the place, and you have that persona that you put on, and then there's people when you leave. Another persona comes in. Like Crosby is a great example because I hated Crosby when I first started working there because he was such a dick. And then out of work, he was so cool. Like, what is the deal? Like, why don't you just be cool and work? Because work makes you so damn stressed that you just can't be anything but a dick.
For like the last year, we've been saying, I can't take one more fucking day of this shit. You know, and when you get to that point where you literally think to yourself, I cannot physically stand one more day of this bullshit, you know, what do you do?
It wasn't just the job itself or anything like that. I mean, I think each one of us came to a point where our creativity was at stake.
You know, lately, making music on the weekends or at night when you get off, you know, practice once a week, it's not enough. You know, we're to the point now where something's going to happen. I don't know what, but we got to get the fuck out of here. We got to make a change. And that's our whole fucking mission. That's the point. That's everything right now. We need to get out on the fucking road and play music, and that's it. I can't see any other way, because we can't keep putting up with this shit. It's not possible.
When Sleep Rocking first came out, it was, I don't want to say it was looked at as a joke, but but in a way it was.
I just open my mouth and wicked words come out, like when you're pulling anal beads and the turds come out.
There was some funny shit on that album. I mean, like, still to this day, I mean, like, you know, I listened to it not that long ago. I mean, it's like, you know, there's some great stuff on that album. I mean, honestly.
We started this group, you know, for the Beastie Boys, and I feel me and Sam talk about how you can kind of look at our evolution and compare it to theirs. I mean, it just in the sense of starting off with License to Ill.
You've done the multitudes of early stuff, which is sets and establishes the parameters in which you are thought about and heard about, and eventually the apex moment at which you create your best album ever. And I don't think anyone knows what that is until they're done at the end, you know. And look back and say, that was the best one.
Your mindset right now, because you're not listening to me, you're still kind of being Sam, the rapper, is not Sam, the manager.
He starts into it again, and I'm like, fuck this. And I pull out my iPhone, and I set it on the voice recorder. I put the boss on speakerphone, and I just let it run. And I did this a couple of times, and those are the Death of the Salesman interludes.
It's just a perfect example of, you know, why we made the record to say what we had to say to them.
Me, when I get backed in the corner, I fucking fight back, and my way of fighting back was, you know what, I'm just gonna take all this shit, put it on record, and you can go fuck yourselves.
So I'm taking all the fucks I gave once, and you can have them back one at a time. Fuck you from all the bus. Fuck you!
Music in shows exists for a certain reason, because that reason is you experience the emotion of the music with the people that you're at the show with at the time. That cannot be replicated on a CD or video or whatever. That's why live shows are so important. Now, in that context, imagine that you're contributing to a song about a workplace which you all have in common with, and all at one moment, all the people in that social setting yell, "fuck you," to the same entity that makes their lives miserable on a regular basis.
That was like 19 or 20 of us who all worked there. So it's not like I'm the fucking bad seed, I'm the one with the, you know, oh, you just jaded perspective. Like, no. That place fucking chewed up people and spit them out.
We all want to say this. We want to say this to our bosses.
It gives you that opportunity to be able to say that and get away with it.
It was nice to have in a song that all of us kind of could come together and relate to and say, like, yeah, fuck you. Like, we are better off. And in fact, all the times that we were told that we will not be better off, that, you know, need this job. What other job are you going to find? Do you really think you're going to be a successful musician or MC? Go fuck yourself.
And the whole room exploded when they yelled, "Fuck you." And I felt good.
It was beautiful.
It felt really good. I was like, that's got to be awesome. Nobody else has asked us to, like, hey, I need you to come in here and I need you to do this, and, it's going to be it's going to be a therapeutic time to just yell, fuck you. We made that opportunity for them.
I think everyone felt so much better about it, about everything afterwards. The smiles on everyone's faces in that room. It was basically like a family reunion.
We got to bring all of our friends there and take that glorious picture too, and everyone's just, and you could really feel in that room just the emotion. They definitely felt it, meant it, really wanted to be a part of it.
We got all of us in one room, and it was just one take. I was like, okay, everyone, we'll do a test just to get the level. I'll put on the beat, and we'll all just give one big fuck you, and we'll see how it goes, and then we'll really give it to them, And first take, it was just like, fuck you!
It was like the Matrix. It's like, the whole room expanded and contracted. I was like,
Basically, it gave me the message that I wasn't alone in feeling the feelings that I had.
you can't put that on tap and sell it. I mean, it's not reproducible.
So yeah, to have a song that's just kind of, I smile about it. It feels good.
That is a memory, and I won't forget that. It was awesome. It was like one of the most, memorable moments that I've had this entire time.
When this CD comes out, it's going to be the real fresh cuts.
In order to tell the full story and get from point A to point B, we kind of had to get there ourselves. Originally, the record was shorter, and it didn't have kind of the uplifting ending that it has now. So I'm glad that we took our time with it, and I'm glad that Evan was able to make his contributions, and Crosby was able to make his contributions, and it definitely feels like a real group working together.
It's hip hop, but it's through our weird, twisted eyes, and I think people can relate to it because it tells a story that I think most people relate to, even if they're not in music.
Not only did he say some stuff that I feel, and we're like instantly not closer, just like now we know each other in a way that we didn't before. And I'm here with you, and we, sharing this together.
This record, I've listened to the rough, here and there. I've tried not to bombard myself with it so I can, but I picked it up again just over the last couple days, and every time it's just like, wow, this is great.
My big thing is, especially after hearing the shadow cuts, that it's like the bar was raised again, and it's getting harder. But that's the thing, is it's the labor of love. That's the kind of work that you want to do.
Like me with beats, there's abilities, but also there was some key emails from Sage Francis that had a huge impact on me.
We played with people that genuinely inspire us, had intelligent conversations with them, as short as they may have been. That was something special.
To me, these songs go back to Graduation Day and Generation Fucked, and before that to Streetlight Cardiacs and DFS and This Day's End, and we talked about this because we're not meant for it, and we've spent too long in the corporate world.
The album's basically a narrative, and it as it's been said, it tells a story, and it's specific.
It's a point of aggression, but it's also a point of rebellion, and the spirit, I think, behind it is positive. Like, the message is like, follow your dreams, which is, what Disney loves to do, but Cinema movie is totally not Disney. You know what I mean? That's not the way it's fucking going,